morning, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank y'all so much for tapping back in to see what I have to say. I promise y'all, it truly does mean the world to me. What are we talking about? We're talking about Quant, of course, but also just some of the other totally compliant tokens, but we're more so talking about it in the realm of regulatory compliancy. Now, listen, I've already came for the US. I've already come for Qatar. I've already come for the EU as far as these regulatory compliancy and these world leaders talking about regulatory compliancy. So you know I couldn't leave the UK out of this. Okay, here we go. You have a gentleman, Nigel, who is running for prime minister. We have one of your representatives from your parliament talking in regards to literally taking a complete another page out of Trump's book, strategic Bitcoin and digital asset reserve of the UK, talking about stable coins, talking about the usage of that throughout the UK's economy. Follow me on this. This is a global effort that is happening simultaneously, harmoniously in unison. Follow me. I know a lot of those things mean the same thing, but that's just how unified this global move is to distributed ledger technologies. All of a sudden now it's on everybody's, tip of their tongues that it's the best thing since sliced bread, and we have to go full steam ahead with this. Follow me on this because I'm always going somewhere, you guys. But before we jump deep into this, I want to thank y'all. We're on the road to 3,000 subs. I want to thank everybody who's liked, who's commented, who's subbed, who've watched. And if you have watched and you haven't subbed, just think about it. If you find value in the videos, go ahead and just hit that button for your brother. I promise you, I truly do appreciate it. For real. Okay, you guys? But this first video is coming from Bloomberg. Again, I said it is one of the UK Parliament members. Please listen to when world leaders speak. Listen, okay? Follow me on this and I'll be right back.
It's just Donald Trump's playbook. You want a younger demographic, particularly a male younger demographic, to vote for you. It's working very well in the States that you push crypto. That seems to resonate quite strongly. Is that what Nigel is talking about, what he was talking about in Las Vegas with this crypto bill, let's call it, that he would like to put in front of the House?
Well, firstly, we make no apology for listening to young people in this country, which frankly the old parties haven't done in decades. Nigel's been very clear that we also need to modernise the British economy and lean into this country's strengths. The City of London, which was once the envy of the world, is still a formidable financial centre, but on a relative basis has been losing ground now for some time. We are being left behind by countries all over the world in things like AI, in things like crypto. So what this bill does is, firstly, it makes it illegal for a bank to debank you or restrict services simply for example, connecting a Coinbase account or legally transacting in crypto. It cuts capital gains tax down to 10% on eligible crypto assets. Will create a sovereign Bitcoin reserve fund. So we have a Bank of England sovereign fund that is fit for the future, and will even allow HMRC will make HMRC accept tax payments in crypto. So we'll make actually paying your taxes frictionless if you choose to use cryptocurrency.
Because there's a lot of infrastructure involved in all of that. Are you going to basically force the banks to spend money to make this happen? You're going to force HMRC to spend the money to make this happen? Like, how does that actually in reality? Because this is great. It sounds very interesting, but you're at the point now in terms of your polling numbers where you need to actually be able to justify, quantify how this is going to work and how much it's actually going to cost. So how much would it cost to do all of that? How much would it cost to change the infrastructure for the UK economy to make that work?
Well, this is all going to be significantly beneficial for the UK economy. One of the things I didn't mention there, which is also really important for people watching this show, is that we're going to create a 2-year regulatory sandbox for large firms, especially in the City of London, so that they can catapult themselves into a leading position. So it's not about forcing these firms. A lot of these firms want to innovate. They want to bring some of the best engineers, some of the best crypto people and analysts in the UK, but they struggle because of the regulatory regime.
Now, y'all just heard from him. Y'all heard the whole thing, strategic reserve and play out of Trump's book and, the younger demographic of people. They are not foolish. They understand that boomers are going to start transitioning on over this next decade to 2 to 3. Okay, depending on where you fall within the range of those boomers. I want to say the youngest boomer is like 64 or something along those lines. Okay, understand the X's, the Gen X not the XRP and XLM. And then you have millennials, and then you have Gen Z, and then you have Alpha. They all are digital. They all are nothing but cell phones. They all are nothing but TikToks and online banking. And understand what is truly getting ready to happen when the complete and utter shift of this thing takes place from the palm of their hand. It doesn't inconvenience them whatsoever, and it makes processes that they do today cheaper. It's going to be adopted like hotcakes globally. Okay, these payment systems, as like I say, as the Federal Reserve, as the what is it called, the Fed's Payment Improvement Plan, I believe that's the name of it. It's the Faster Payments Council. What do they call it? New payment systems. Even Scott Bessett, in one of his stablecoin talks, calls it the new payment system. Understand what is truly being laid out right in front of our faces, you guys. This push is something that most of the world, 99.9% of the world, is completely blind to. And if you are following and focusing in on this channel and places that are also bringing value, like Mine Crypto whenever my brother comes back, places like Encash Official and All In Crypto, and there's so many wonderful my boy Quant, I can barely say it, but MF Crypto, and all of these players that truly talk about CypherX. I'm just keep on just naming people that as they come to my mind. DLN, Wade Teamer, these players that truly are talking about real technology companies that are facilitating global moves. Follow us, because y'all, we not memeing. We really showing y'all where the value is. And once this institutional money starts flowing through these networks, because they've already been positioning themselves for the past few years. They've been running their regulatory sandboxes in these test cases and on things like test nets. Well, what happens after test net? You guys, mainnet. Understand what is truly getting ready to take place in this complete and utter realm of Web3. But here is some more from that interview with that UK Parliament individual, and I will be right back.
Bill, though, mentions things like fraud protection, consumer protection. Comparing that to some of the states and some of the measures over in the U.S., there are those elements of it that make it easier to adopt on both sides of the aisle. What's your answer to that? Where's the consumer protection element?
Well, at the moment, there is already significant consumer protection legislation, and that is obviously comes through in other legislation. So what we need to do is make sure what this bill is. First of all, it's not a completely comprehensive crypto program, right? It's setting out it's a statement of intent, and these will be among the first things that Nigel will do as Prime Minister. In terms of needing, quote, both sides of the aisle, our goal, and we're already polling in a position where we would have a reform majority of MPs. Look, we're going to be very clear that consumers will be protected. We're not concerned about that. We will make sure that is done. But at the moment, innovation is completely stifled. Our startup community, how many startup founders are leaving the country? The founder of Revolut, the founder of Checkout, some of the best companies this country has are fleeing this country. If we don't make this country one that is welcome to innovators, where innovation is welcome, not only are we not going to succeed, we are getting left for dead by countries in the Middle East. I mean, look what just happened. Trump went out to the Middle East. Go and look what Abu Dhabi are doing. Go and look at what Dubai is doing. I don't think people in this country realize the speed at which the UK is falling behind. And that's why we need someone like Nigel who's going to say, no, we're going to lean into Britain's strengths, where we have some of the best AI talent in this country. We have brilliant energy scientists. We have the most expensive energy costs in the world, astonishingly, despite actually being a pretty resource-rich country and being home to Rolls-Royce, who have, I think, the best product in small modular reactors, which Nigel will proliferate through the country to get energy costs down.
Let's bring it right back to the crypto story. You've unleashed a series of measures there that you're looking at. Talk to us back to the Bitcoin Reserve Fund that you talked about. What kind of size are we looking at here? How large might that be?
Well, hopefully it becomes very big as Bitcoin appreciates over time. I mean, one of the interesting... Well, we're not going to put a number on it now, and the reason for that is because, look, everything we're doing is taking us in a direction so that, when Nigel wins, which is obviously what we're working on, we hope that reform will become the new natural party of government, which is a moniker that had been previously placed on the Tory party, which I think are now polling fourth in many polls. What we're going to start with is ensuring that any crypto that is, for example, seized as a result of criminal activity and by HMRC goes into there. Secondly, if we make it effortless to pay your taxes in crypto, then that money can go into the reserve as well. But if you actually look at the way Bitcoin has been trading now, it's been really interesting. It's trading much more closely to gold, for example, than it is with tech stocks or other things. So we are seeing something very interesting that is happening. And I think over the course of the next few years and the next decade and the next 2 or 3 decades, which is really ultimately, you should measure the success of a sovereign fund over the course of decades, I don't see any reason why it can't end up being, a pretty meaningful chunk of Britain's wealth.
Okay. But at the moment we have our wealth in pounds, and that's our sovereign currency, and that allows us to do lots of things that others can't do within the European Union, for instance, within the Eurozone. Aren't you talking about undermining British sovereignty? Aren't you if we're focused on Bitcoin, that's not our currency. Our currency is the British pound. You're a party that has talked a lot about sovereignty. Aren't you undermining sovereignty, the sovereignty of the UK, by undermining its currency by talking so much about crypto?
No, actually the opposite. I mean, if we talk about sovereignty and individual sovereignty, our leader Nigel,
national sovereignty.
Well, even national sovereignty. One of the look, remember the bill is not just about Bitcoin. By the way, just to be clear, it's blockchain and crypto assets. The regulatory sandbox we're talking about will allow stable coins. We want to innovate.
People are talking about a Bitcoin. Would that be something that you
not if it's essentially not if it's a government sanctioned coin that ends up being the sort of thing that takes us down to
the government sanction means
we're in a situation where our leader Nigel Farage was probably involved in the most high profile debanking scandal. Most people watching this will know this. Because of his political views. That is totally unacceptable. We are going through a period, and this is one reason why so many young people especially are leading...
That's a different argument to having a sovereign currency.
No, look, right now, crypto and Bitcoin are an infinitesimal percentage of money throughput in this country. I don't think we're in any risk of the pound's dominance in the UK going away. What we do need to do, though, is encourage innovation, including stable coins, by the way, linked to the pound, albeit not ones which the government can take away from you because they don't like your political views.
If I pay my taxes in crypto, that is undermining that case, isn't it?
Why?
Because you're creating a secondary system through which the government has to operate.
Well, we live in a world where the Trump administration is already going...
I can't pay my taxes in gold.
The Trump administration is already going through... going down this path. Many other countries are going down this path. We can stay stuck in the 1970s if we want, but we're going to get left behind. No one is any doubt. If Nigel's the Prime Minister, the pound will remain incredibly important. The pound will be probably even more important than it is now. But we have to encourage innovation, and we have to allow, frankly, it to be clear to people in this country that your bank cannot debank you or unperson you just because they don't like your political views. And crypto is probably the most powerful hedge we have against that.
Who absorbs the price volatility? If Bitcoin crashes overnight, which happens quite often, who absorbs that? The taxpayers, the Bitcoin Reserve Fund?
Well, the whole point of the reserve fund is asset prices can go up and down. But we have a view, Nigel has a view, that in the long run, Bitcoin is going to appreciate. And so far, by the way, as much as it's been volatile, like many assets, by the way, we're not far off all-time highs at the moment with Bitcoin. But look, of course, we're going to be prudent in the way that we manage the public finances. We think, by the way, in the long run, if we don't do this, if we don't have Bitcoin in the sovereign fund in 30, 40 years' time, the country will be far poorer than it would otherwise be.
As you guys just saw, as you guys listen to, this is someone who's codifying law in the UK. Just like I show you guys from here and all over. When the laws that are being laid, everyone in those jurisdictions will have to adhere to. So truly tap in when they start speaking about things, especially publicly, especially when these things are moving through processes bipartisanly, because that means that it's going to become law. And you want to be coupled to the things that are associated with the law, compliancy, regulatory regimes who sit on some of these regulatory regimes, like the European Commission, Mr. Gilbert Burdian of Quant Network. Understand truly, that these companies, these ISO gems that we hold, these If you want to call Bitcoin gold, well, you can call these like diamonds and rubies and emeralds and sapphires. That's what these things are. These are gems. These things will be valuable because you have countries' economies and real-time gross settlement systems flowing through it. Follow me on this, okay, you guys, because I'm always going somewhere. And who was a part of the UK's real-time gross settlement system upgrade? Who talked about it? Quant Network. And when they finally released that it was happening, what is it being coupled with? Distributed ledger technologies. Understand, truly see what's being laid out right in front of our faces because they saying the quiet parts out loud. And I want everybody to truly focus in, horn in, lock in, and let's go on this ride together. I appreciate every single one of you. I truly, truly do, you guys, for real. But until the next time, y'all already know I appreciate y'all. And if you made it all the way through this entire video, type in the word UK or acronym UK. I love the UK. I've been to actually England a few times. I actually love England. I actually want to live in England at some point in time in my life. But another story for another time. Type in UK because the regulatory clarity is coming to the UK, just like the rest of the world on this global push for blockchain. And to the next time, y'all already know I appreciate y'all. Peace out.